Hello, here we are again, another week talking cigars and stuff. You know, when we started doing this, it's not like we're experts or claiming to be experts on cigars. We just like smoking cigars, talking about them, and solving some of the world's problems.
And having fun with it.
And having fun. And now you're probably asking, who the hell's that guy in the middle? Well, we have a special guest here tonight. This is Tom Stroud from Altadis Cigar, also known as Mr. Monte Cristo. So he's going to share some of his knowledge of cigars with us as we're talking here today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys. It's a pleasure
Always
to be
good
here.
having you here.
Well, before you get started, customarily, what we usually do with our guests, first things first, is your full name, bank account number, your social security number, and we won't share that with anyone.
I've already sent that in to the Nigerian who told me I was eligible for a large sum of money. So that's already tied up in an investment,
You're a
fellas.
step ahead of us.
Right?
Yeah, a long-lost relative
Yep.
from Nigeria. I got some monies coming, so it's
Too
already
good
been
to be
taken
true.
care
You
of.
can't pass that up.
Yeah, it was right after I got the email about sending in all my PayPal information.
So what are we smoking here today? What do you guys got?
Well, for me, I am smoking my favorite from last year's new releases at the trade show, formerly known as the IPCPR, and that's the Trinidad Espiritu. This is a medium to full-bodied Nicaraguan blend by AJ Fernandez. It kind of revitalized the Trinidad blend and brand with a very Cuban-esque motif. Those of you that have seen the packaging, very vibrant colors. And in my opinion, AJ delivered a very solid cigar if you like the Nicaraguan tobaccos.
I do like that. I was never a big fan of the Trinidad prior to this blend here. Not that the cigar just wasn't to my taste or anything, but this is one of the cigars in my rotation now that I'll mix in every once in a while. I really like that blend. I agree with you. I'm going with, now you correct me if I'm pronouncing this correctly, Por Larrañaga.
Por Larrañaga.
So this used to be a brand years and years ago that was only made for certain tobacconists, maybe back in the 80s, 90s or something like that. And they took it they reblended or something. But this is also a cigar I'm really enjoying the past couple of months now since they came out.
Yeah, Por Larrañaga was one of those brands that back in the day they featured more exclusivity, like you said, to certain tobacconists with the cabinet selection. That they also had cabinet selections in Romeo, Monte Cristo, and H. Upmann. That was one of those cigars. I think it's a good cigar for myself. It's a nice, mild, any time of day cigar. And
I'm a mild smoker.
when they redid the packaging, they played upon the heritage of the cigar. They cut back on the number of facings to make it just more reasonable for shops to have instead of carrying 5 to 7 facings. Just three basic sizes, a very nice price point, and for the guys that come in looking for something mild, it's right up there with Reserva Real and at a much better attractive price point than Monte Cristo.
Yeah, you're right. Because I like the Turo size, 6x50 or so. But you could smoke this. I could smoke this in the morning.
All day long.
Afternoon. It's a really nice, perfect burn on it. The draw is always good. So I'm really enjoying this cigar.
What about you, Michael?
Well, I'm smoking a cigar. I don't know if I could go into as much detail as Tom did, but it's good. It's an enjoyable one. So it's the Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua blend and collaboration between Rafael Nadal and AJ Fernandez. Number 1 cigar of the year. A lot of similarities between one of my favorite cigars, which is the Gaspar Intensos. Just that flavor profile that both of these cigars have is just right in my wheelhouse. Nice, full-bodied, strong, nice little subtle spice to it that pretty much intensifies as you smoke.
Now, I like that cigar too, and I'm not a full-bodied smoker, but I could smoke that cigar. It's not overpowering to me, but has that little extra something on it that I like that once in a while.
I think it's a little bit smoother than, say, the Intenso. The Intenso kind of packs a punch.
To me, is burning.
This takes like it's a fantastic cigar. I mean, and deservedly so. I guess number 1 cigar of the year.
Yeah, we were very fortunate to have that rating as a company, and it just goes to show about 3 years ago when Altadis and Rafael entered their strategic alliance, and Rafael came on board. Some of the doors that he opened and some of the collaborations that we were able to come up with, which in days past, when I would call on you and introduce cigars, nothing like it in the past few years with just the dynamics and some of the stronger blends of these cigars. You know, back in the day, Romeo, Monte Cristo, it was always viewed as mild to medium, very unassuming, and nothing very vibrant and exciting. And then suddenly you're starting to do collaborations with AJ and all different cigars and all different brands. And, you know, to have it become the #1 cigar of the year from Cigar Aficionado. And, you know, some people jump all over the ratings. And, of course, sales went up through the roof for it. Other people jokingly, well, you know, with the advertising, you know, but it is what it is. It is what it is.
As long as you like the cigar, smoke it. I don't care what anybody smokes. What I like, it doesn't mean it's good, bad. It
doesn't matter.
If you like it, what the hell does it matter?
You know, the ratings and the rankings are, you know, subjective to those that are evaluating it. We could sit here and rate cigars, and it may or may not match what they came out with. And I still remember the day because as Cigar Aficionado was doing its countdown, they were releasing in waves, like every day around 3 o'clock. Well, for Cigar of the Year, they were doing it at 10 in the morning. So I'd already left the house, was on my way to my first store. So I'm in the car at 10. I was offline, and I get a phone call from one of my customers like at 10:01. Well, I guess congratulations are in order. Yeah, okay, for what? You guys got, you know, I didn't know, you know, you guys got Cigar of the Year. Oh, that's awesome. Which one was it? I'm in the car, you know. And, you know, then within the first half hour, 45 minutes between the emails, the text, the phone calls, everybody wanted in. And, you know, the demand was so great that, you know, AJ Fernandez actually very graciously kept his factory open during the holidays to keep up with production instead of their usual holiday shutdown between Christmas and New Year's. So,
but let me ask you this. So how does that work? So AJ, you know, like with the blend, the cigars that he blends for your company, so he doesn't necessarily work for Altadis per se. So he makes his own. So they just work together. He still does his whole thing.
He still does
You guys do the distribution and the sales. And he just makes the cigar. He's great at it, obviously.
Everybody knows AJ's name.
Right,
I mean,
absolutely.
you know, you tell somebody this is a cigar by AJ, it's out there. And yeah, that's exactly what it is. I mean, he has his own line of cigars. You know, you guys have a rep that you deal with for the AJ cigars. But AJ just wanted to branch out more than just doing what he was doing. And, you know, he's done collaborations with us as well as other companies.
Well, the resources that he's able to tap into with a company the size of yours is just, I mean, and like you know, to kind of like build on what you were talking about earlier, is it just seems like the last 5 to 6 years, it's been home run after home run after home run, and they're totally different cigars that are coming out.
Different the flavor profiles out of all of them.
Absolutely,
really,
I mean, they're really hitting all aspects of the market. I mean, and just, you know, it's a no-brainer for us to bring them in.
Yeah, and, you know, AJ, you know, I mean, we don't get the recipe. So when I come to see you, all I can tell you is it's, you know, wrapper, binder, filler, Nicaraguan. But, you know, AJ keeps what type of Nicaraguan, how much Nicaraguan. I mean, that's a secret.
Oh, yeah.
So you could line up 4 or 5 cigars. They're all Nicaraguan. Maybe they were all blended by AJ, but each one's going to have a unique taste about it because of what goes on, you know, behind the scenes of information that they're not sharing, you know, in the recipe. Just like, you know,
no doubt,
the 7 herbs and spices with KFC. You know, AJ has his little bit of this, little bit of that, and again, the band's very well connected. I mean, he has, you know, obviously resources of his own tobacco. Nestor Plasencia, a big tobacco grower down in Nicaragua with his, you know, 5,000 plus employees and, you know, farms as far as the eye can see. You know, we're able to tap into some of those resources. We've done collaborations with Nestor. We've done collaborations with AJ. It's a great time to be a cigar smoker.
Well, that's what we talked about. We talk about that all the time. I remember going back mid to late 90s during the boom and all. Cigars were selling for more back then, weren't even half the quality of what's out there now. And it's funny you mentioned Nestor Plasencia, and I've known him for a while. And that was the first trip I ever got to take was in, I don't know, 97, 98 to Nicaragua. And at that time, Nicaragua wasn't all that safe. And I remember we got there, we met with Nestor and his son, Nestor, and he took us to places. And he told us right out together, don't leave my side. There was only maybe like 10 of us. And that's how, and it's not like that now. We've been back several times since. But at that time, back in late 90s, Nicaragua wasn't as safe. And he was probably one of the only ones at that time doing it. But you're right, all the fields and factories he had, and he grows a lot of tobacco and sells to other companies to use, right? That's his niche.
He's a tobacco grower. I mean, he does have a line of cigars,
but not well known,
not as
well distributed, or whatever
as much as some of the stuff. But yeah, he is a tobacco purveyor. And you know, it's funny when you talk about that because he was at one of our sales meetings prior to one of the trade shows a few years back, Junior, and you picture a tobacco farm if you've never had the experience to go and see it. You picture maybe a couple guys out there doing the harvesting, and when he starts talking about the operation he has, and he tells you that he employs 5,000 people, I mean that number is bigger than the population of some small towns.
Absolutely.
And everything that goes into it, between what they do in the fields, what they do in the barns to get the tobacco ready. And then, the tobacco that might be just sitting and aging for a yet-to-be-determined project. Oh, we're just letting that age for a while. We don't know what we're going to do with it.
Figure out what we're going to do with that 10 years from now.
10 years from now. We got some nice 10-year aged, Lajero or Viso. Or, I mean, the planning and the organizing is...
Yeah, I remember, I forget whose storage warehouse we were in years ago in the Dominican, and they showed us, they had all the burlap bundles. I forget whose it was. Anyway. And they had all this, and it was, I forget what the date, but it was in there like for 20 years. What are you doing with that? I don't know yet.
Sure we'll figure it out when
we're going to find that out when it comes.
Yeah.
And
a lot of times, too, they're preparing for, say, a hurricane or something like that to wipe out their supplies. So, for them to have that kind of inventory, I mean, I think there was about 13 warehouses, the size of a typical Walmart, floored to ceiling with maybe about 4 feet in between each bay. I mean, the amount of tobacco that was in there. And there's usually only one person that knows what is in each one of those bags.
Each one or what it is, right?
It's everything funny. Is secret, It's,
and that's what it is, but, you don't realize what goes into start to finish making a cigar. And
if the consumer would have the opportunity to go and see what it takes to go, to produce a cigar, they would tell you a $20 cigar is cheap.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, absolutely. What the care that goes into it is, it's incredible.
Yeah,
it's eye-opening.
It's one of the few remaining products that are handmade from start to finish. I mean, from the cultivating of the seeds to when you guys have been on the tours.
Yep.
Even when we were up at our Connecticut farms, to the little seedlings in the greenhouse, to before they're even ready to go out into the field, and then the care and maintenance that goes into just keeping the crops right before they're even harvested. It's just amazing. And then the sorting of the tobaccos and the preparation before it even gets to the roller.
Yeah.
It's just...
Yeah, on all that quality. Now let's talk about, because you hear this question a lot for everybody. Like, how many on average cigars you smoke a day, and how do you plan? Do you smoke the same ones? Do you go mild to medium to strong? Or how many do you smoke? Because you're out there. Do you have a game plan? Or are we just cut and whiten them till it's time to go to bed?
Night before school, I got to make the sandwiches. I got to put the snacks in the thing. I got to get a drink. I got to make some breakfast.
Yeah.
Do you do that with your cigars?
I don't have to do the night before prep and making of the cigars. Though I'm very fortunate they're already there for us.
Yeah.
What I will always typically do whenever we get a new release and they send us our samples for the first time is I always save that for the first cigar of the day, regardless of the strength rating. I want as clean a palate as possible.
Yeah.
I know there's little tidbits and tricks throughout the day, eat some almonds and stuff, but I like to start that new cigar always fresh the first day.
Between cigars, I feel with this, like a little glass of milk.
Mm-hmm. Well,
that's supposed to
wipe the palate down.
Wipe the palate clean, because that's it. Like if I smoke something strong first, and you go to something mild, there's no.
Yeah, you need to clean the palate a little bit. Yeah. I'll typically start my day with just medium and go from there.
Yeah.
We were on a conference call a couple weeks ago with our educational manager. I'll give Travis a shout out here, and Travis has been to here and to your stores.
Multiple times.
And Travis likes to go up and then down, so that by the end of the day, he's finishing his day with a nice milder cigar. In his opinion, he said it helps him sleep better than having something a little more fuller bodied, maybe right before bed.
Speaking of Travis, I remember when we were on that Connecticut trip, you two guys had a competition who was going to smoke 4 cigars in a day.
Yeah, Travis.
I don't know whoever won that, but I remember.
I know Tom doesn't like to lose.
Travis and I are heavy hitters when it comes to smoking. Getting back to your original question, I mean, when I leave the house in the morning on a work day, there's always a cigar in the car to get me to where I'm going. Throughout the day, it depends on who I'm seeing. I mean, when I come down to see Michael, of course, we're going to have a cigar and take care of business. Other shops that maybe don't allow smoking inside, if they sell beer and cigars or more, obviously we're not smoking in there. But on average, I'm good for anywhere from 5 to 7 a day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I could do that. Yeah, that's nice. I'm usually 2 to 3, depending on what time of day I start smoking. Like Sunday we had our little, not a golf tournament, I would say, but our golf get-together, because it's really not a tournament.
Right.
Yeah.
So we started at 8:30, 9 o'clock, so of course I smoked more then,
Right.
which I might be, my golf career may be coming to an end.
You just got started.
I know, but I think spend too much time. All I did was look for a little white ball.
Yeah, well, that's, yeah.
18th hole, I was kind of like,
Yeah, well,
nothing is fun.
in my opinion, Mark Twain said it best. Golf is just a good walk spoiled. I used to golf, and, at one time I was more into it, and, you always hear about breaking 100. I mean, forget getting a handicap. I sucked way too much to even have a handicap. Best I ever got before I started losing interest was playing with my uncle down in Florida. I finished on an 18 hole with a 101, and that was like a personal best. But throughout the years, certain golfing buddies kind of drifted off or moved, and it just wasn't fun anymore.
It's a commitment. I mean, it's a long day.
Yeah.
I mean, and to try to fit that into a busy schedule is not always the easiest thing.
I remember my second year with the company back in 2011. One of my accounts down in Harrisburg, her husband was a very big to-do military guy, and he had passed away the year before. So every November they would do a golf tournament in his honor, and they did it on a weekday. And she said to me, a lot of my other reps participate. We would love to have you in it as well. And I looked at her and I said, I don't dislike anybody enough to have them put up with me. But she said, no, it's a best ball format. Just come out, have a good time. So I met my foursome. I knew some of the guys from having already done events in the store. I handed each of them a couple cigars. I said, this is my apologies in advance for wherever my ball we go. Let's just have a good day.
Perfect. You want to be on my team next tournament?
Yeah. But it looks so easy. I get up there and I have all the intention of hitting it straight.
Yeah.
About 250 yards.
Uh-huh.
And what do? I dribble it about 30.
But it went straight.
But
A straight dribble, yeah. My biggest problem was my slice. I could not get that under control. I mean, I'd get the distance out of it, and you'd be watching it and it looking good, and then it just...
Why does it do
You guys are covering every amateur golfer and some professional golfers that are out there. That's part of I mean, I go out there, I have a good time. I'm outside.
Hey, frustrating.
Yeah, not,
it
could be if you let it get to you.
Although I had a little good time with.
Yeah, you did.
With our teammate, though, little Tommy.
Little ball busting going on, but that's part of the experience.
It is,
right?
It is, and when you're with the right group of people, enjoying your cigar, the camaraderie.
Good time.
I mean, whether it's golfing or anything else, cigars are the great equalizer when it comes to just a group of guys getting together. Mm-hmm. A little example, I belong to a cigar club in New Jersey, and, we have people in that club from all different walks of life. We got some doctors, lawyers, finance guys, but when you're in that club, nobody gives a darn what you do out there. You're a cigar smoker, you're playing dominoes, you're playing poker, whatever, you're watching a movie, or, you're just one of the gang.
The great equalizer.
And I see that a lot in lounges as well.
I've been in many places where, you're out of the area. And this happened to me in Las Vegas. One time I went by myself and for a conference, and then at night where I'm going to go. Well, I know I'd just go to a cigar bar, and I didn't know anybody there, but it was just, by the end of the night, everybody's just like your friends forever.
Yeah.
I've done that. I told them a story about the one time when
Wait till they get to know you. You bust their balls a little bit.
After 3-4 hours. But it's like you didn't. I did that in the Bronx, just to walk into a cigar store at night in the Bronx and not even know anybody. And as soon as you get in, you pick up a cigar, you sit down, light it up, and there's not many places or you can go, but a cigar just...
And again, it's the camaraderie thing, and it's such an easy conversation starter. What's typically the first thing you hear guys, what are you smoking? And what do you like about that? Oh, tell me what you're smoking. And maybe you've smoked it before and you have common ground, or maybe it's like, I haven't tried that one yet, but based on what you told me, maybe I will.
I see that all day long in the lounge.
Oh, I'm sure.
People are just looking for to try something different.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you like or don't like, and do that.
Absolutely.
All the time like that. And that's why that cigar aficionado, not that, like you said, not that they're always ready to like that cigar. People are just looking for a recommendation, an idea to go try something. To try something different. Most cigar
consumers will mix up their repertoire a bit. Occasionally, throughout the years of consumer events, you do run into people. I only smoke, and my answer to that is, A, I'm glad you're smoking something, so I respect the fact that you're in here supporting the store and enjoying a cigar. But then I always follow it up with, Let me ask you a question. Do you eat the same thing for food every day?
Yeah.
Don't you want to mix that up a little bit? I mean, it's certainly fine to have your go-to, the cigar you're going to buy by the box, and that's what's going to be in your humidor. But don't you want to at least try some of the new things that are out on the market, or maybe something similar to what you're smoking? If you like a certain wrapper type, don't you want to maybe, just to say you've tried it, like just limit yourself to the
I know
same...
I do that with that wrapper. I like the San Andres wrapper. So if you tell me another cigar, different brand that has a San Andres wrapper, I'm more inclined to try that cigar versus, say, a Connecticut.
Right, right. But it gives you a starting point.
It's a comfort level, too. You know that you like the San Andres. Let's see what this is all about. You may like it better.
You might.
Who knows?
I'm always a little hesitant, trying something new, and if I don't like it, and I'm going to smoke it, and I don't really enjoy it, but I always stick to like a Toro size, so long as it's in that size. Like I have like 4 or 5 cigars that are the go-to, depending mild and some medium. But lately, I've been trying mixing some other ones in here and there, just to see what's out there.
Yeah,
and all the great stuff on the market
absolutely.
today.
And and with you guys being in the business, it's important not only to have tried it when you're talking to your customers when they come in.
Absolutely.
Because the consumer comes in, they're looking for that guidance.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, not all stores are created equal, and they go into some stores, and the guy behind the counter might not be able to point them. I'm looking for something mild, or I'm looking for a Connecticut. And then the employee has that deer in the headlights look, and it's certainly not with your guys. Your teams know what they're doing.
Well, when I tell somebody I smoke every cigar in the humidor, that's not a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It may not be every single size within that line.
But you've
I've
smoked
everything that we carry.
Every
single
multiple
cigar.
times.
Yeah.
I smoked them.
And
I tell them though, wasn't my taste level or my
tell them
profile.
the good, the bad, and the
I
ugly,
tell them, but I say you may like it, but it wasn't in my my wheelhouse.
That happens even on my end of things. I mean, our company comes out with new products from time to time. Just because I personally didn't find it something that, as a consumer, maybe I would go out and buy, doesn't mean it's not going to do well or that you might not like it. It's just not how I like my cigar.
Yeah.
But
very good.
This is a lot of fun.
Yeah,
absolutely. I'm glad I was able to be here with you.
Thank that. But thanks Tom for your insight. And we always appreciate all you do for our stores and bringing new products in and educating even our consumers. If you're ever in a shop, and Tom's here, he loves to talk shop, cigars.
Take you a twirl, show you around, and if you're in the area on the second Wednesday here at Smoke Rings, poker night, it's a great social event. Buy cigars, get poker chips to play.
Yeah. By the way, I'm winning tonight, so just so you know.
You've heard it here first.
I already claimed to beat the dealer prize, so you could win the grand. But next week we're going to be having another special guest on. We're going to talk some bourbon, some whiskeys.
Yeah.
So we look forward to bringing you our insight once again.
Light them up.
Stay smoky.
Thank you.